Hey everyone, Mike Burke here with InsideRealEstatePhotography.com, and in this video we're going to get into a topic that I hear a lot of people ask about: Flambient versus HDR, which is better? So as you probably already know, the two most popular methods that photographers use to shoot real estate photos is some sort of HDR or some sort of flash ambient blending or Flambient. Truth be told, you can achieve good results with either method, but people often ask which one is better. In this video, we're going to compare and contrast some advantages and disadvantages to each method, and at the end of the video, I will give my personal opinion on which one I think is better. Before we get into a compare and contrast analysis of both processes, I want to first take a look at some example images. While I was at a shoot the other day, I shot the exact same image, both Flambient and HDR, and in a moment, we're going to take a look at those images so you can see them side by side and see how they stack up against each other. We're going to take a look at each image, but I'm not going to tell you which one is which. I want you to pick your favorite looking image from each set, and then afterwards I'll tell you which one is which, so you can see which one you picked and which one that you liked best. There are 3 images total, and each image will have a set of 3 images labeled A, B, or C. One will be a Flambient image, one will be a hand-blended HDR, and one will be an auto-merged HDR from inside a Lightroom. These HDRs were shot 5 brackets, 2 stops apart. I thought it would be helpful to include a hand-blended HDR and an auto-merged HDR to illustrate the quality difference between those in this video as well. Alright, so let's take a look at these images. Just make a mental note on which image that you think looks best, either A, B, or C. Then afterwards, I'll tell you which one is which. Alright, let's get into it. Alright guys, so which one of those images did you think looked best? A, B, or C? In this set, A was the Flambient image, B was the auto-merged HDR image, and C was the hand-blended HDR image. Alright, so now that you have a feel for this, let's take a look at the next set. Okay, so in this set, A was the hand-blended HDR image, B was the Flambient image, and C was the auto-merged HDR image. Alright, now let's take a look at the final set of images. Alright, so in this final set, image A was the auto-merged HDR image, image B was the hand-blended HDR image, and image C was the Flambient image. So which images did you gravitate towards and why? Did you consistently pick a certain one of the methods throughout each set? Were you easily able to identify which image was which? I'm very curious to know how this went for you guys, so please leave a comment down below. So now let's get into comparing and contrasting these techniques, and I'll share my thoughts on what I think the advantages and disadvantages are to each one of these methods. So as you may already know, the auto-merge HDR technique is achieved by taking your bracketed photos and doing an HDR merge inside a software such as Lightroom. Lightroom itself has an HDR merge function built into it, but I'm not the biggest fan of the results of that, so I would lean towards a plugin called LR Infuse if I were to go that route. I go into this process more in my real estate photography basics video, so if you'd like to find out more about that, I'll link to that video up on the screen right now. The clear advantage to this method is that it's super fast and straightforward. Just do an auto merge of your bracketed images, do some light editing, and export. Fast, easy, and you can turn your images around in minutes. This is exactly what I did with the auto merge HDR examples that I showed in this video. You could of course get more in depth with this by masking in Windows, doing some color correction work and things like that, but for this video I just wanted to do a basic HDR merge with some basic editing for comparison's sake. The disadvantages to this process is that the end result isn't necessarily the highest quality. It yields a decent result, but it suffers from the pitfalls of the HDR look, which a lot of people don't like. What I mean by that is images looking over-processed, flat-looking, unnatural, and lacking contrast. HDR mergers also suffer from a lot of color casts and inaccurate color rendering in general. Hand blending your HDR images gets around a lot of the disadvantages of auto merging your HDR images that I just mentioned. The main advantage of hand blending is that you get a greater level of control over the look of your final image because you get to choose which aspects of each of your 5 brackets that you want to incorporate into your final composite. If you're shooting 5 brackets like I am, a lot of times you only use 2 or 3 of the brackets instead of all 5. With an auto merge, it basically takes all 5 bracketed photos and averages those together, even if all that information isn't needed. So by taking advantage of the higher level of control you get with hand blending, you're able to achieve a more natural, less processed looking image that ultimately has a noticeably higher quality appearance. I also did a video on this process as well that I'll link to up on the screen right now if you're interested in learning more. The biggest downside to hand blending is that the editing process is more labor intensive and takes more time. As with most things in life though, if you want something to be good, it usually requires more work. You can help expedite the editing process by incorporating the use of things like Photoshop actions and Lightroom presets. I did make a video on this subject as well, and I will also link to that video up on the screen right now. The biggest advantage of incorporating a flash into your real estate photography is probably that it helps you achieve the most accurate color representation in your image. By overpowering the ambient light in the room with the flash, it eliminates almost all color casts that are present. And later in editing, blending in the ambient layer helps you achieve a more natural look with the image. Also, you are hand blending these frames together, so you are exercising a greater control over the look of your final image. If you're unfamiliar with this process as well, I did make a video on it that I will link to up on the screen right now. What I think the biggest disadvantage to the Flambient process is that it takes more time on site to shoot because you're dealing with lighting equipment, and also because each shot usually requires a bit of trial and error to get right. Also, because it does require lighting equipment, that is more gear that you'll have to invest in. So what method do I personally think is best? I would have to give the edge to Flambient because it gives you all the control you get with hand blending HDRs with the added benefit of more accurate colors because of the incorporation of the flash. I always color correct my hand blended HDRs, but you are relying solely on ambient light to create the images in the first place, so there's only so much you can do. Overpowering ambient light with the even color temperature of the flash provides you with that clean and accurate color layer to work with and incorporate into your final composited image. Yes, Flambient takes longer to shoot on site, but it's not that much longer, especially after you get the hang of things. Hand blending HDR is faster shooting time, but it is longer editing time, so at the end of the day, it's not necessarily any faster. Truth be told, image quality isn't the only contributing factor though when it comes to choosing which method works best for you. Clients won't be comparing images side by side like we're doing in this video. They will only see what you give to them, and you can get a great looking image by shooting HDR or Flambient. I actually use both methods depending on the shoot. My point is that you should experiment with different approaches and see what workflow suits you best, see what results that you think look best, and see what process you enjoy doing the most. At the end of the day, it comes down to personal preference. Alright guys, that's it for this video. I really hope you enjoyed watching it. I really hope you found it helpful. If you did, please hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't done so already. I really appreciate your support. If you're interested in supporting the channel in other ways, please check the link down in the description as well. Thanks again so much for watching guys, and I'll see you again on the next one.